One, and we're live.
Anyway.
Welcome to A Nice Place to Brew. I'm Jason.
And I'm George.
Welcome to our weekly webcast. We do this webcast every Thursday here on here on the YouTube and Facebook page, wherever you're seeing us. If you are catching our webcast for the first time, we'd like to thank you and welcome you, and we'll look forward to a great discussion tonight. As our posts have said, we are talking about adjuncts tonight, and we have two people who will be joining our webcast here in just a moment. Today is Thursday. Ugh, why do I always get hung up on the date? What the hell's wrong with me? Today is January 28th, Thursday. We do the webcast every Thursday here on Facebook and YouTube. Our YouTube page has all of our past episodes. So if you go to our YouTube page, click on videos, you'll see all of our past webcasts. We've been doing weekly episodes since the beginning of COVID-19, so there is quite a library. We have a audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew. It's available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and all the places you get your podcast from. We have a website, www.aniceplacetobrew.com, which our own George has designed. And we have social media links, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew. There we are done with the introductions, and we would like to introduce our own Mr. Paulie Bidney from the world-famous Route 66 Old School Brewing, broadcasting live. What's up, Paulie?
Oh, we're not hearing you, buddy.
Sorry. I know. I had to pick mic. I was nothing much. Just got done brewing my saison today, so just having one, talking to some regulars, and then I realized I was on the wrong link. I was on the Google Meetups one. I'm like, where is everybody? Can't find anyone. So.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, things are going good. But
Good. This is quite a momentous weekend. Mm-hmm. Paulie, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, because right here, I'm drinking Paulie's Truck.
What is that? Paulie's Truck on tap? Where can we find Paulie's Truck?
At the world famous Route 66 Old School Brewing.
Paulie's Truck on Route 66.
Yep. It happened.
Yes,
and it's everything that I remember. I'll tell you that.
Nice.
That's
turned out well. All right, good.
Even though I almost killed it with too much grain, I had to cut some of the grain back. Unfortunately, when I showed Jason a picture, like when I was mashing in, I was like an inch away from the top from spilling over. I still had 2 buckets of grain left.
Oh no!
Like, yeah, I was like, well, I guess I can't put these in. Fuck.
Yeah. Didn't quite plan for that, did you?
Yeah. No. Now I know how much. Now I know I can do more than 210 pounds of grain in my mash tun.
So that's the hard limit, 210?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now you know.
Yeah. So trying to revisit.
We know what Paulie's drinking tonight. Jason, what are you drinking?
Okay, so that is a very appropriate question.
Nice.
Metal Monkey. Nice.
So this is a beer called Keyboard Warrior. It's an imperial stout with pecans, chocolate, coconut, and milk sugar. 8.2% ABV, and it is delicious.
It sounds like some adjuncts right there.
It does.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot to talk about on that topic later tonight.
And
I will say, and this is very appropriate, because we are coming up on Metal Monkey's 5-year anniversary is this weekend. They are open to the public Friday through Sunday. The COVID regulations here in Illinois are starting to slowly free up with certain rules in place, like capacity limits, things like that, all things that we need to continue to live by. But we're heading in a good direction, and I'm very happy that the timing has worked out so that Metal Monkey can have their anniversary and have people present there. So everybody out there, go and visit our good friends Dan and Jason at Metal Monkey Brewing this weekend, Friday through Sunday. I'm sure I should have looked up what you know what? I can't even say keyboard ware is going to be available because I have no idea. So check out their Facebook page at Metal Monkey Brewing for the beers available this weekend. And I will see you out there one of those days, but not totally sure which one. So
be
you
there
have to go
Saturday.
just go all 3 days. Just go all 3 days.
Yeah,
and you'll come across me.
I know I'll be there
All
on
right.
Saturday after work. So
Okay, right on.
So I will say before I say what I'm drinking tonight, the first time that I really got pissed off at COVID and at people not getting their shit together so we can get past this faster
Yeah.
was when I realized for the first time since they opened, I was going to miss the Metal Monkey anniversary weekend for the first time. So I am there in spirit this year. I will be there physically next year because we're going to get our shit together and we're going to get past this year.
All right. So everybody get your vaccine.
Yes.
And let's ensure that George can be back out here physically for Metal Monkey's 6-year anniversary in 2022.
I'm actually signing up for mine tomorrow
Okay.
because I just come to find out I'm eligible because I am a brewer and brewers are eligible for the 1B phase of the vaccine.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yep. So I'm gonna go schedule mine tomorrow, and I could do it in town. So I'm gonna go get it done.
So
Be
let's
done with
just
it.
break that down for a second. How awesome is that brewers are considered essential workers?
Who else is
Hey.
gonna get you assholes drunk?
Exactly. No, listen, I love this. Like, I mean, I don't know who figured this out and who ruled on this, but hats off to you. You guys are heroes.
Yeah. I know alcohol got me through the whole fucking pandemic.
I mean, you and the rest of the world, pretty much.
Yum. All right, so just to add on to the adjunct thing, what I am drinking this time is a beer from Oxbow Brewing here in Virginia, I believe. Yes, called Surf Casting. It is a farmhouse ale with sea salt and lime.
Ooh, that sounds
And
good.
yeah, so some adjuncts in there as well. And yeah, it's pretty tasty.
I'm intrigued by this.
I'm wrong. It is.
You almost lost me when you said farmhouse ale. Then I thought sea salt and lime. That could mask some of those farmhouse characters.
You don't like farmhouse saisons?
No.
Oh, I didn't.
Well,
Learn
and-
something new every day.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got more to say on that subject later on when we talk about adjuncts, but continue.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this. I'm not sure it would pass muster with a JBG competition because it does taste a bit salty, even though we were told to put salt in our beer. But balances really well with the lime. Has a bit of a, I'm going to say like sea salt rimmed margarita type feel to it a little bit.
Nice. So,
Yeah.
hey guys, before we get crazy in this conversation, I just realized I forgot to pitch my yeast. So, you guys
Okay.
hold the fort, and I've got it set up so you guys can actually watch me pitch the yeast here. So,
Oh,
I
nice.
love that.
I'll be back in a
Yes,
few
I'm
minutes.
in.
All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
A live yeast pitch.
Live yeast pitch. I mean, what other show can you see a live yeast pitch on a random Thursday? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out in the comments section, Mr. Bill Norman from the Main Street Homebrewers Group in Downers Grove, Illinois, is joined us tonight. Hello, Bill. Cheers to you, buddy. Good. It's
Cheers,
great to hear
man.
from you.
Yeah. And no,
I tell
Bill,
ya.
it is not a Corona. It tastes nothing like a Corona. Although I honestly don't have a problem with Corona. I don't believe in. I believe if you want fruit in your beer, put fruit in your beer in the brewing process. Don't add it later. And but these guys did a good job with that.
I mean, a farmhouse ale is completely different than what Corona's got going on.
It is, yeah. Mexican lager versus a farmhouse.
Right,
It's
right.
different.
The Mexican
animal.
lager
Yeah.
is a very white car type example. It would take to an adjunct very nicely, much more so than something like a saison, which has a very distinct character to it.
Yeah, it does. But I will say that what they did with this is they toned down a lot of those farmhouse like spiciness and cloves and that kind of thing that you typically find.
Yeah.
So it can really let the salt and lime kind of shine through on that. So.
All right, so let's give some commentary to this. Okay, so Paulie's got rubber gloves on.
There, let's blow up.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so he's got the spray bottle of sanitizer.
Yeah.
So this is a guy who's covered his bases very well.
Yeah, I feel like
who out there is wearing rubber gloves when you handle a yeast packet?
I know I don't. Haven't had a whole lot of problems with contamination like that, but yeah, I'm not surprised.
If you ask Paulie about it, he will give this explanation, and I think it's a very good one. At a commercial level, with these batches of beers, you're talking about thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, I get it.
A homebrew batch, if your batch gets contaminated and you have to pitch it, you lost $30 or $40.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not gonna lose your next meal because of that.
Yeah,
but if you're talking about losing a couple $1,000s, that's a different matter. Paulie.
he's getting the adjustment hammer. I feel like a sports color commentator now.
Yes, exactly. I feel like
he's got to be happy with
Hawk
that
Harrelson. Dadgummit. Shout out to all the White Sox fans who are listening tonight.
Oh man,
that is a duck snort into right field. Mr. Paulie Bidney made it to first base.
Okay,
he's got
there. He is opening the. Yeah, he's opening it
Looks
up.
like a brick of 05.
Yeah. And direct pitch pour. No rehydration. You guys will notice.
No rehydration. Yes.
Fairly common with the with the dry yeast. You just overwhelm it with yeast cells. That way, if a few of them get killed in the rehydration process, it's not a big deal. Clamping it back on.
Call it to the comments section. AJ, spray everything but no gloves. That's right where I'm at too. Having a spray bottle of sanitizer is one of the easiest things that you could put together. A spray bottle is going to cost you a whopping $4. And if you're a home brewer, you should very much have Star San nearby at all times. It's an easy thing to do, and it's a practice everybody should do. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've gone through a bottle of Star San in a long brew day.
Wow.
And all right. And he's off. So I'll go back to here. All right.
All right. When Paulie gets off mute, I'll say this.
Okay.
What's up?
And as Hawk Harrelson would say, and this ball game is over. Yeast is pitched.
Yeah, I just happened to walk.
That was amazing, Paulie.
Was I good on the camera? Did I?
Yeah, we
were great on camera. We were commentating all throughout.
we did this treatment to you, so you were the big one. And,
When I had to go get my camera, when I had to go get my hammer, I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Yeah. Hey guys, I'm needed really quick. Give me a sec. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. All right. So let's start to get to the meat and potatoes here, and Paulie can join us when he comes back. But today we're going to talk about adjuncts, and we've already spent the last couple weeks, a month's worth, talking about water, malt, hops, and yeast, because I'm told you need these to make beer at least. And so those are the major ones that go into beer. However, we tend to put other stuff into beer, and that other stuff that we tend to put in is referred to as adjuncts, and it just adds flavor and color and texture to the beer in order to make it more interesting, riff on the style and everything, and Yeah, it really adds a lot of depth of character to beer.
My first example was going to be this, and I think this is a great way to kind of frame this this topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll, when I'm done telling this story, I will share kind of a philosophy around this. So I was hanging out last night at the world famous Route 66 Old School Brewing in Wilmington, Illinois, where Mr. Paulie Bidney is the brewmaster.
Mm-hmm.
There was another patron there seated along the bar who had a 16-ounce can that he shared with a handful of people that were nearby. And the beer that he was sharing was from a brewery called Noon Whistle, headquartered out of Lombard, Illinois. They have a second location in Naperville that just recently opened within the last year at some time. So the beer that was poured was called Holiday Fruitcake. And I'm bringing this up. You'll see why right here in a minute. So here's the ingredients that are part of Holiday Fruitcake. This is a fruitcake flavored IPA with pineapple, apricot, sweet cherry, bourbon, vanilla, almonds, and lactose.
Dang. Okay.
Exactly. So what is that? 9? Was it 7? 7
Yeah.
different adjuncts.
Well,
And not a bad beer by any means. I thought it was tasty. But I will say that the overall take on the beer was, it was smooth, it was flavorful, it was nice, but to me, in my opinion, is just way too much all at once for all of those characters to take shape and be visible.
yeah, and honestly, that's the risk you run sometimes with these adjuncts is you end up kitchen sinking it, and you know, the flavors end up either clashing or getting subsumed by other things. Now, everybody's tongue and taste buds are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So the argument that some people make, which I understand a little bit of the validity here, is that instead, you know, adding all those different adjuncts in can sometimes add different character for different people. So if somebody's taste buds are more salt sensitive, they're going to get, you know, certain flavors. If they're more fruit sensitive or umami type sensitive, they're going to get different flavors out of it. So something like that is going to allow it to be different things to different people. Whether or not that's good or bad in how it reacts with them is another question sometimes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I will mention too, I can't talk about Noon Whistle without saying this. Back to George's example that he shared, or the beer he's enjoying tonight, which is a farmhouse ale.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my opinion of farmhouse ales will forever be shaped by a beer that Noon Whistle released about 4 years ago that George and I had on a late summer night in Lombard, Illinois. And it was a cucumber flavored Saison. A beer that I am still traumatized by today.
That was disgusting. I've had that before.
I am going to take some crap for saying this on this show, but fuck you, Noon Whistle, for releasing that beer. Fuck you.
That said, you guys have redeemed yourself since then with a bunch of good beers, but that one, what the hell were you thinking?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry. I that solidified an opinion of farmhouse ales that has not escaped me.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I'm not sure that's fair for farmhouse, but you know, it is. But
well,
yeah,
there is a character that, not to do too much of a deep dive on that, but there is a certain character that comes with that high fermentation temperature that those beers come along at.
That's true. Farmhouse ales do tend to run a little bit hot, not alcohol, you know, wise, but they ferment at a higher temperature, usually mid to high 70s.
Yeah.
Which is a lot for homebrewers sometimes to wrap their head around because they're used to high 60s, low 70s in there.
True.
And thinking, oh man, I actually need to warm this beer up to get it to ferment instead of trying to chill it is, you know, gives people some issues sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
I'm actually having that problem right now down here because my groundwater it's coming out like 40 degrees. After today, when I was knocking out my batch today, I had it coming out at like 47 degrees out of the counterflow chiller. I was like, uh-oh, it's gonna take a couple days to warm up before it starts fermenting. Oh well, it is what it is. So
Yeah. So, I mean, adjuncts as a whole, though, kind of fall into a couple different categories. You have your spices, which I throw salt and things like that in there as well. You have
Don't
your
make
sugars.
a salty beer.
You have your sugars, and you have your fruit/vegetable kind of adjuncts as well. And in your sugars, you also have things like chocolate and those kinds of flavors. But then you also, lastly, and what is a very, very, very common one, especially for darker beers like stouts and porters and things like that, is coffee.
Yes.
Yeah, he's using coffee as an adjunct in your beer.
I've been using coffee a lot lately down here because I got some really good coffee from a local roaster down here, and honestly, that's what's making me go through some of the beer that we have. I mean, I've been single-handedly ripping through these porters. This porter we made, just making coffee. I'm going through at least one a day or one a week, 1 6 a week. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's not bad. AJ just said that I may have had a cucumber saison. And I think I remember that, and I think I remember it being pretty good actually, which is a bit, very different from what Noon Whistle made, which was in a word, green. But if you can balance that kind of thing, and so actually that leads up to a really good point about adjuncts. Is adjuncts are all about balance, and they should be present in your beer, that you should be able to taste them, but they should not overwhelm your beer. One of the worst things you can do is make a beer that forgets that it's beer.
That is very well said, and that's great advice.
Yeah, and that's like one of the problems with a lot of these like slushy beers. Speaking of adjuncts, like the milkshakes and all that, they're like overly fruity, and it doesn't even taste like beer anymore. I feel like I'm drinking a smoothie. You know? Like I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole milkshake bullshit, even though I'm making one here in a couple weeks. It is what it is. So, I mean, I'm actually really glad I got everybody in the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild is a lot of help. So I've been able to lean on a bunch of people, like one of the shift brewers from Moore, and they're real well known for their milkshake beers. And they've been helping me out at least, because I know I'm not going to drink this shit. I'll try it. I'm like, all right, guys, here you go. Have at it.
Yeah.
Drink it quickly so I don't I'm afraid I'm going to have to change my whole beer line and everything. It's going to be tainted with milkshake.
Well, I tell you, there is definitely a market for milkshake beers that kind of forget their beer a little bit. But there's also a way to do a milkshake beer that I imagine takes a lot of refinement to get right, to where you can actually achieve that balance. You can get a certain amount of sweetness, a certain amount of flavor, but also keep a lot of the beer character. A good example that I know that I really like is a milkshake APA, I want to say, called Das Yummy. And they do a really good job of balancing that sweetness with the bitterness of the hops and really bring all of that together.
Who makes that?
Is that Commonwealth? Let me check.
I guess my question is, that's something by you. I have to see if it's available up here. I've only had really one milkshake beer that I thought was good, that I actually was willing to purchase a 4-pack of. And that was a Strawberry Marbles from Moore.
Das Yummy is made, which is it has a bunch of different varieties. Their current one is a lemon meringue pie Das Yummy, and it is out of Virginia, and it's Ouzelfinch is the
Ouzelfinch?
Ouzelfinch, yes.
How do you spell that?
It is OOZLEFINCH.
All right, I'll do some research because like I said, I'm willing to try anything, anytime. So
Mm-hmm.
if I can find that at my local Joe's, because screw biddies, if I can find it at Joe's or somewhere else like that, I'll do it. I'll at least buy it and give it a shot. I
They're
mean,
down. They're down by me. I might, I'll grab a can and send a snow globe out to you. Let's see. At the rate that we're sending snow globes to each other, Polly, you should
Christmas.
see it. Yeah.
I know.
So, but anyway,
Okay,
yeah.
point taken. We need to collectively do a better job of that. Okay, got it.
You're right.
Point
No,
taken.
but I'll see if I can find it because I don't think you're going to be able to find it out there. But anyway, Jason, yeah, I think you were saying something.
So, just to share my opinion on the topic, I'll echo George's comments, and I will also say that every adjunct that you bring into your beer should have a specific purpose. You shouldn't have the mentality of like, "Ooh, this could be a good idea because going along with X, Y, Z," and I had an extra double A around, and I just decided to throw it in and saw, to see what it would do.
Like a AA battery?
No, but X, Y, Z, A, A, B, B, C, C.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
bad.
All right.
Yeah.
I thought you were chucking batteries in the beer. I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
We're putting
Nobody
batteries in
Nobody
beer
try
now?
that, please.
Yeah,
That's
don't
such
try
a
that.
terrible
We're
idea.
putting batteries in beer? Wait a minute.
No,
I didn't
don't.
get the memo.
Don't try that at home. So yeah.
So
But
I think
good
I think there's a less is more principle with adjuncts that I think is appropriate. You should be
Yeah.
aiming for a specific character when you bring an adjunct in. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be just trial and error and just be like, "Ooh, that seemed like a good idea because I had this other stuff in it."
Right. And so there's certain styles that will lend themselves to certain types of adjuncts. So like porters and stouts tend to lend themselves towards coffee, more nutty flavors, and a little bit of sweetness. Farmhouse ale saisons tend to lend themselves a little bit more towards the spicy side, but can really accommodate fruit well as well. In fact, Jason, one of the first all grain beers that we made had an adjunct in it. Not initially, but we added it later. In our Belgian triple, we put some coriander spice in there.
Yes, we did, and it was
Yeah.
quite nice.
Mm-hmm. Had just a little bit of a spicy note and really complemented the Belgian flavors quite well. Yeah.
Paulie,
Yeah.
question
Yo.
for you.
Go ahead.
The menu that's open at Route 66 Old School Brewing currently,
Mm-hmm.
can you talk about what are some adjuncts that are available in the menu beers right now?
Honestly, the only one that I have on the board is probably the Percolator, which is a coffee beer, which is all I'm really, like I was talking earlier in previous episodes, where I'm taking some Metric Coffee, which is a local coffee roaster here in Chicago, only about a year and a half old, and taking 4 ounces of that, sanitizing in a muslin bag, throwing that in there, rack it right on top of it, which transferring from a keg into another keg, and then letting it sit for 24 hours, pulling out the coffee bag and pouring it. That's all I've been doing. And it's actually really easy. Speaking of adjuncts, I'm getting ready to go adjunct crazy here because I don't know what I'm thinking here. Sometimes I think I need to quit drinking or smoking pot or whatever, but I'm doing a Pink Boot Society beer, which the Pink Boot Society is an organization to help women in the beer industry, which, considering I have nothing but women that work here, so I'm doing a brew day with them. They're all, get this, I'm having them all come down. They're gonna help me brew. We'll see how this works out. I got 2 days in a row of this, and then we're gonna even do a bunch of one-off. So I even told everyone that all the employees that help, I'm like, You get 5 gallons. You get 5 gallons. You get 5 gallons. No, pick what you want to do with it. I
Oh, okay.
developed the recipe. It's a basic wheat ale. I had to use minimal amount of hops because the alpha acids on these Pink Boots beers are like 14%. And it's a blend of like 6 different hops. So I'm actually really excited to try this.
Okay.
I got my allotment in last week. I had to cut the bag open and pour a few out into cups and smell them because I'm like, I gotta try this because it's like cashmere, laurel, Palisade, and at least 3 more hop blends.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the near future, we plan on doing a show with the Pink Boot Society. Paulie, I think you're just still coordinating that a little bit.
Actually, I gotta talk to Mel. I want to do it before we do the Pink Boots beer. So I say we're gonna do it the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I just gotta talk to Mel and get it done.
I will say what Paulie's doing it with the 5 gallons, 5 gallons, 5 gallons, and what do you want to do with it? That's a really good way of handling adjuncts in beer sometimes. Now, it gets a little bit more difficult when you have adjuncts that you add during the boil, like some of the spices and things. But if you want to do a secondary of beer, like post-fermentation secondary of beer on top of coffee or on top of fruit or anything like that, you certainly can. I did that once recently with licorice. And and so if you let's say you make a 5-gallon batch and you break it up into 1-gallon secondary fermenters, you can try different things, either different amounts of coffee or different adjuncts entirely, and see what you like the best. And that way, and so then once you figure that out, you just scale it up to 5 gallons and go from there.
And that's really the best way to do it because I remember when Jason and we were adjuncting that mead that we made a couple years ago. Like we were just taking like an ounce or something out of the carboy, and then putting a couple drops per glass. And we like this one. We like this one. This one just throw in the garbage. We like this one.
Yeah, and then just do some mathematical equations. What does that equate to for 5 gallons? And that becomes your addition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to go.
I agree.
You should aim out there to not overwhelm the beer. I think we've established that pretty well so far in this episode, and it's worth repeating.
Yeah, agreed. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot more to say on adjuncts other than just, play with it, look up recipes, and figure out what flavors do you like. Because if you like spicier notes like cloves and that kind of thing, like when you eat a pumpkin pie, if you really like the clove or the cinnamon and things, you can figure out how to work that into your beer so you can get flavors that are reminiscent of that and really just add more depth of character to your beer. Last thing I'll say is just an adjunct is not always necessary. Sometimes a beer will stand on its own.
Well said.
You don't need to throw extra stuff into it.
Right.
The thing I'm going to add to that one is make your base beer something worthy and not try and save it with adjuncts. Because I've seen some people try and make something like, oh, this isn't good. Oh, we're just going to throw some honey at it. Let's throw some, I don't know, clovers. I see a dandelion. Boop. No, we don't need to be doing that shit.
Lipstick on a pig, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, wow. There's a bunch of people in here today. It's kind of cool.
Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's do this. Let's look at some recipes that we've made in the past.
Okay.
And let's talk about like what adjuncts we used and which ones worked and maybe even the ones that didn't. Let's really kind of get in the weeds as far as let's keep the framework as 5-gallon recipes.
Okay. You know what? Let me go find my book. It's in the other room.
Yeah.
So let me go get my book. I'll be right back. All right. I'll stick with George. Jason, you go, and then when you come back,
I'll go. Behind me. It's right behind me. So.
Oh, okay. So let me go get my stuff.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I'm pulling up our recipes that we did on on Beersmith recipes because thankfully we do everything there.
Yes, we do.
Um,
There's no
and
secrets.
well, they can't see them all unless we share them.
Well, no. I'm talking about between you and me.
Oh no,
Yeah,
no. Where the hell is that? There it is. Okay.
So I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to write these out.
All right. Yeah, just give us 1 second here. Okay, here's one. Let me share this while you guys are getting ready.
Sure.
So this is the back to the triple recipe that I talked about before. This is our triple, and it's actually has two things that you could consider an adjunct. However, the way we use the candy sugar was more of a fermentable than as an adjunct. We could have swapped this out for DME instead for our purposes. It was just to create more alcohol.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a fermentable.
Yeah. The real adjunct that we added here was coriander seed at the end, near the end of the boil. If I remember correctly, I just ran this through my food processor real quick and threw it into the boil kettle. And you can see for a 10-gallon recipe, we only added 1.5 ounces of coriander. So it really was not a lot at all, just to really make it a slightly spicy beer.
1.5 ounces for a 10-gallon batch.
Yes. And I remember we definitely had coriander in the beer.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Did you find anything?
I do. And I do feel it's appropriate to talk about corn in this.
Okay.
I know I think that falls into a little bit of a less traditional base malt than adjunct. But I made a cream ale last year that for a 5-gallon batch had 2.5 gallons of flaked corn. And it was great.
2.5 gallons or
I'm sorry,
pounds?
2.5 pounds.
Pounds of flaked corn?
Yes,
that's all right. Yeah.
And it was great. It was just enough to add body and character to to a cream ale recipe. And it was really excellent. Now, I'm not about to say that like all the big breweries have the right recipes and they're doing the right things, because I know corn is widely used in the Budweisers and Coors and those types of beers of the world. But I'll tell you, flaked corn, I would take a look at that. I'd give that one a good review.
Yeah. Here's one, and this might be a bit of hubris on my part.
Yeah.
We
We never made this.
We never did. Count. I know, but this is one that is on my list. I'm still gonna make this at some point. I call it the chips and salsa beer because my goal was to get both the corn chip, kind of experience as well as the salsa experience directly in one glass. So I added flaked corn to the mix, as well as crushed tomato, cilantro, and jalapeno is the plan. Have not done this yet. However, this is still a plan. But this might be one of those kitchen sink adjuncts that will turn out terribly. But that's a known quantity.
You're being honest about it, and that's respectable.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to turn out.
Yeah. I'll mention vanilla real quick. Why did my camera just go out?
No, we see you.
Oh, okay. It just went black on my screen. Okay. I've made imperial stouts pretty much annually for the last several years. and vanilla is an adjunct that I like. My preference for using a vanilla is doing it as a keg edition. And remember that vanilla is very potent, and similar to what George was saying about his coriander edition, less is more is a good rule to have because it doesn't take much. I believe my keg edition of vanilla, I think, is 2 ounces. And if you buy a bottle of vanilla extract at a grocery store, I think the standard bottle that you most commonly see on the shelves is 4 ounces. So you're talking about just half of what a standard grocery style bottle is for a 5-gallon batch.
Yeah.
And it comes through.
Another option there is vanilla bean. If you can get like a fresh vanilla bean and scrape it.
Yeah, I can't speak to that one because I've never used vanilla bean in beer before.
I've used
It's
vanilla bean.
strong.
It's very strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather use fresh. The only problem is you really can't find fresh vanilla beans. They're so goddamn expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
You know. But I just pulled up a recipe I found. This is back from 2011. What I did back in my early heydays, it's a Great Lakes Christmas clone that I made. We used organic honey, some ground ginger, and 3 cinnamon sticks. It's actually kind of nice.
Okay.
Yeah. That was fun. I do remember one time I did one. We did it was a recipe that we found online. It was a 1050 clone that we decided to do vanilla beans and coffee beans, and then we aged the vanilla beans and coffee beans in some bourbon, and then threw that all together all at once. And that was actually really good because it almost tasted like a barrel-aged beer a little bit.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adjuncts can be so much fun. I mean, they could either make or break the beer, but like to get back at it, make sure you got a good beer before you start throwing a bunch of shit at it.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
I just found one that is a bit of an honorable mention to the adjuncts. It is not, well, all right, you guys have to tell me if you think this is an adjunct or not, or it is another technique that is sometimes used like an adjunct. But smoking your grains or using smoked grains.
Okay, I think this is appropriate.
So this recipe is a porter, a pretty solid porter that we have that I took a portion of the base grain and smoked that in my smoker that I have, and added that to the beer. And when you want to talk about less is more, when you're talking about smoked flavor, if you're making a traditional Rauch beer or just smoking a porter in this case, it's you want the smoke character to come through, but you don't want it to be overwhelming. So just taking a small portion of the base grain and smoking that, or using some smoked grains, be subtle about it, is kind of my thought process on that. Any other comments about smoking, guys? Polly, muted, and remember, this is about beer smoking.
I know. I'm sorry.
All right. No.
I've never really smoked any grains, but I've always wanted to. I might try it down here for fun because we have some regulars that have a smoker.
Okay.
So I'd be like, here's a bunch of grains. Smoke it for me. Let's have some fun.
I grabbed a really good book on smoking grains that I've used multiple times. And one of the ways that it definitely suggested to do that is something what's called a wet smoke, where you basically put your grains in distilled water for a while and let it soak in, and then you dry it out a little bit. You just pat it dry with some paper towels, basically, and then you put it in your smoker, and the moisture absorption in there will allow that smoke character to come through. Takes much less time to smoke it, and you need much less grains in order to get that smoke character, because it's able to absorb more of that smoke flavor. Let me see if I can find that.
Interesting. What was the name of this book, George?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find right now. Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's called Smoked Beers. Very creative like that. I don't have it on Google Play. I have a physical book, but it goes through kind of the history, and it goes through a number of the different methods that you can use to smoke your beer. And this is actually part of a series of different techniques that you can use to when brewing beer. So, yeah, highly recommend Smoked Beers.
I'll have to look into that on one of my slow days here.
Yeah.
Maybe I can not.
Can we talk about lactose?
Sure.
Sure. Unfermentable milk sugar? Yeah, why not?
Exactly. Some advice: 1 pound per 5-gallon batch as a boil edition. Good advice.
Good advice.
Yes. Good advice.
Okay. How about timing in the boil? Does that
10
need
minutes.
to be okay?
Towards the end.
Last 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, last 10 minutes. Yeah.
I think okay. I agree. That's good advice.
I think you could push it to 15. Like when you throw in your immersion chiller, throw in your lactose along with it, along
And
with your whirl flock.
Yeah.
Just to make things easier. But yeah, definitely towards the end of the boil.
Good call.
Yeah, I really don't know about letting lactose boil for that a whole hell of a lot of time. That'd be kind of weird.
Doesn't serve a lot of purpose.
No, I mean, and then
Just needs to dissolve.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just needs to dissolve and get in there and get the flavor. You're not getting any fermentables out of it. You're just getting flavor. So.
Right.
Well, you're right, but one of the reasons I like milk stouts over dry stouts is you get the sweetness, but you also get a little bit more body out of it than you would out of a dry stout.
Agreed.
My personal feeling is that dry stouts tend to be a little thin, but you add a little bit of lactose, even if it's not a full pound, even if it's half a pound. You can add a ton of body to the beer and good mouthfeel to really change the character of it.
Yes, you can. It's just kind of funny because up until the whole shaky craze, not a lot of people use lactose or milk sugar until the only time they ever used it was in a milk stout, to be honest with you.
That's true. Yeah.
And
AJ, oh, sorry, go ahead.
And I just think it's kind of funny how all of a sudden now that's like milk sugar is like the new citra hops of the whole beer world. Everybody just fell in love with this is something that's been around for many, 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 many years.
Yeah.
But everybody always thought of it as just, we'll use it for milk stouts. I kind of wanted the guy that came up with the idea to put it in an IPA. I want to take him and string him up from a tree out here in the woods.
The views of Polly and lynching that dude does not represent the views of A Nice Place to Brew or any of its subsidiaries.
Sorry. I'm down here in Southern Illinois now, so I got. As you can tell, I have a deep hatred for milkshake beers.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah.
That's why when I finally make mine here in a couple weeks, what my name is? Fine here. Milkshake beer.
Fine here?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, fine. Here, take it.
Oh.
Yep.
So, AJ, speaking of sugars, AJ talked about maple porters, putting maple in a beer. It's a great addition, especially to darker beers. But I would also recommend, if you want to get that kind of character, that molassesy kind of character, is brown sugar is another one that's really good.
Good call.
Yes, very good call. Actually, I do use brown sugar in my new brown in town, the one that I won a couple competitions with. The one that I'm actually brewing that one next week. I'm real excited for that. I don't know what
How much do you add to like a 5-gallon batch?
it was. I think it was a pound.
Really?
Pound,
Okay, I thought that
pound.
might be too much, but okay.
No, and the funny thing was, is I found the only reason I do that is because I was following the recipe from a guy when we eventually get him on the show here is Todd Ashman, one of the first brewers at Flossmoor Station. He that recipe was actually I pulled that recipe from him and made it my own, and that's what I ended up winning the Flossmoor Homebrew competition with, which
Okay.
ended up being the basis of the Flossmoor Pullman Brown. And I think it's funny when I won that competition, they're like, "Great job, but we can't brew that because it tastes too much like ours, so we're gonna have to change it." I'm like, "Okay, fine."
Oh,
have
wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest.
Oh, Brando,
Uh-huh.
Brando.
There he
Ready?
is.
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Brando.
Please welcome to A Nice Place to Brew from Workforce Brewing in Plainfield, Illinois, Mr. Brando.
What's happening?
What's
How
up,
you
man?
doing, buddy?
Nothing.
Good.
Am I on time? Is this on time? Am I right here?
We're on rock and roll time here.
Yes.
Oh, I just saw. Wait a minute. I just looked at the invite. It said 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah, that's because
That is all right, sir.
Virginia.
I thought it was 7 p.m. Oh God.
It's all
That's
good,
all right.
man.
I'm sorry.
We've been
guys.
talking about adjuncts and adding them into beer and everything. So we've already gone through a bunch of the stuff as far as like adding spices and sugars and fruit and stuff. But I guess from your experience, both as a brewer and as a homebrew shop owner, what would be kind of your recommendations for adding adjuncts into beer?
Oh man. So open question right
It's a
there.
big one.
It
Yeah.
is,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what we're talking about. I know. So like, obviously, our Sleepy Bear line, we've been refining it for a long time, and one of our big things that we've tried whole vanilla beans, we've tried pureed vanilla beans, we've tried powdered vanilla beans, we've tried extract. You name it, we've gone through it all, and we've really recently leaned back into all natural extract, and we use Benilla a lot, Benilla or whatever. Their extract is great. It's all Madagascar. They have a single fold, a double fold extract. We've used our paste too, but we really find that we get the best flavor out of their all natural extract, which has been awesome. Coconut, we use a medium toast, a sweetened coconut too. That's been a big thing for our adjuncts. We love that. But we try to use, as much like raw product as we can, but to an extent, we always have to think too about absorption and how it's going to affect the final product and packaging, where we're going to put it. We have a really cool hop back that we bought out of a stout tanks and kettles that's what we use for most of our infusions these days. So,
All right.
So we were talking amongst ourselves, and we believe from a homebrew perspective that a less is more philosophy is a good one. Do you agree with that?
depends on the adjunct.
Okay.
So when it comes to especially like peppers or anything with heat, yes, less is more. If you're doing, any sort of beer with a salt in it, like we're coming out with, got Mabel wants to join in here too. We're doing chocolate salted caramel barrel aged Sleepy Bear. We just were blending that this week. We went less on the salt. We tasted it. We want to just up it a little. So I agree with that mentality of less is more to figure it out. But as long as you keep really good notes. Oh, sorry. As long as you keep really good notes and can recreate that process. I think that's one of the biggest things for figuring out what you're going to do with repeatability every time.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
There is an element of trial and error that I think is inevitable with that, because and we mentioned too about some kind of go-to ratios that people can use as kind of a starting point for a lot of beers.
totally.
And it's good to have, but nevertheless, every system is different. Every batch is different because the recipes are going to be different, and every just process is going to be different as well. So it's good to have rules of thumb, but understand that the outcomes are going to vary a little bit. So there is a trial and error thing that I don't think is ever avoidable for home brewers.
Right. And it's the same way for pro brewers too. I mean, obviously my roots was as a home brewer, and we did a lot of experimentation, and things don't scale the way you want to as it gets bigger and bigger. So we still, even on our size, we're a 10-barrel brew house, but we dose individual glasses, talk about with, at 1 ml of this, try to pipette it up, and but then we go, okay, well, is that too crazy? Let's, scale that back a touch. You can always add more. You can't take out.
Exactly.
That is so refreshing to hear that even at the commercial level, you guys are doing that, because that's exactly how I do with my 5-gallon batches here at the house. It's just pour a tiny little sample, find out what ratio works, and just start doing multiples of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's at the end of the day, you're drinking it out of a glass anyway. So if you got a 10-ounce pour or something, you can always scale from there. So
exactly.
Well, and one of the things we talked about in kind of the less is more philosophy, Brando, is that, and what's your feelings on this, is that no matter what you add to the beer as far as an adjunct, you have to remember, and you want the beer to remember at its core, that it is a beer. You don't want it to be like a soda, but it's also a beer kind of thing, unless you're trying to make not your father's root beer or whatever. That's something different entirely. But you want it to still remember that it is a beer at its core.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot internally. We do a lot of adjunct beers. Obviously, a lot of fruited beers, a lot of other things, but we've never hit that ground of a 450 North, or some of these people doing the over fruited sours where it's 50% puree in a bright tank packaging down. And we've kind of leaned towards it and go, all right, so should we dabble in this? But then we go back to our core of what we like to do. And that's kind of what we've always done as workforce, is beer we like to drink. And so that we've had a lot of recoil effect of just all right, let's make a more balanced, approachable beer that more people like to drink than try to do this, a hype train beer style to just, just to do it type of a thing. So, but yeah, it's tough out there right now too, trying to figure out, especially with adjuncts and pricing, vanilla. We all know that's gone through the roof, and we add vanilla in a lot of our imperial stouts because that gives it that mouthfeel, that flavor, and that creaminess that you want. And it's God, when you're paying $500 a gallon for vanilla, it's just that adds up very, very
$500 a gallon is what it comes out to.
Yeah, if you go, real vanilla.
Wow.
I think the prices have come down a little bit recently. I think the last gallon I bought was $430 or something like that a gallon. It's been all over the place. It's crazy.
Yeah, Madagascar is starting to recover a little bit, so that should go down a little bit.
We hope,
that definitely drove up the prices quite a bit.
Yeah, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, it was crazy. It was over $600.
Wow.
So Brando, I mentioned this this combination of adjuncts earlier on in the show, and sorry for the repeat, everybody, but I would love to get your take on this, just based on the ingredients that I'm sharing here.
Yeah.
So I got to share a can of a beer last night, and let's just based on this, let me know what you think. So this is a fruitcake flavored IPA.
No, I'm good. We're done.
All right.
Sorry.
Here's the combination: pineapple, apricot, sweet cherry, bourbon, vanilla, almonds, and lactose. Just kind of digest that for a second.
That is, they threw everything at the wall on that one.
That's exactly how I feel about it.
You know, what's weird is that, you know, my response is that's not a beer that I'd ever want to drink. Like, hey, you're at a bottle share, somebody pours you an ounce or 2 ounces of it. I'll try it, move on. Those beers do sell very well. People are looking for shock value. They want tons of flavor. They want sugar is a big thing. It's just the sweet tooth of Americans. We're in a very weird time right now for the beer industry. You know, I think and I don't know who produced that beer, but you know, there's a way that somebody could do that probably well and balance a few of those flavors out to try to be you know, get that holiday fruitcake taste. But yeah, I don't know. It's when it comes to me, like, you know, right now I'm drinking lager. That's what I want, is like a nice, clean, crisp lager.
So it's so appropriate you should mention that, because that was exactly my take on tasting that beer. I tasted it and I said, this is good, but I'm not catching like all of these individual adjuncts that this label has. Like
Right.
This is a good, like fairly straightforward but flavorful IPA. So like I think you could have made the same beer with less than half of the combination of stuff that they threw in. Easily.
So I'm going to say this, and you guys can tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think adjuncts work best in either dark beers, like really dark beers, or
Ooh.
or
This feels controversial.
or French styles, like Saison farmhouse styles. I think those are the two ones that really lend themselves towards adjuncts. You think about where you find a lot of them. It's in, you know, coffee stouts or vanilla stouts or maple porters or things like that. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Well,
Adjunct is a very broad term, right? So
It is.
So you could have, you know, the family of like nuts. You could have fruits. You could have sugar. You could have all sorts of different things that go into it. I think you're right about the stouts really work well with it. You know, your farmhouse beers work well with different things, but I think there is a place for it in other beers as long as it's done tastefully.
Mm.
And it's hard to see some beers. I mean, also call me a hypocrite. We did a beer recently that we kind of did as a joke. Banana Landline. I don't know if you guys got to try that, but it was a hef that we decided to do like a banana split. It was more just like for us being like, let's just lean into it just for fun. It had Luxardo cherries, pineapple puree, peanut extract, cacao nibs, and vanilla. It was just like a banana split. We did a small batch of it, you know, and all of us, the two Jakes and myself, when we tried it before we packaged it, we all looked at each other and it's like our souls escaped our body. We were like, God, this is actually pretty good. It's just one of those beers that we were like, this is.
What have we done?
We did this as a joke. It's kind of good.
There's actually a brewery that specializes more or less in beers like what you just described. And our buddy up in Buffalo would attest to this. Is a Southern Tier is really good at making a flavor experience with beer. Now, a lot of them do forget their kind of beer base, but they've done things like cinnamon roll and breakfast cereal where you swear you're tasting like Captain Crunch and stuff like that. Like, they're really good at that.
well,
What was the one, George, that you and I had when we were in Virginia? Was it cinnamon spice?
Was it cinnamon roll?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
It was a straight on liquid cinnamon roll. Straight on.
Right now,
It's a one and done beer though. Like I'm not going to
yeah.
a 4-pack of that. Or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
You could reach for something else afterwards, but it would not be another cinnamon roll.
Yeah,
Yes, for sure.
makes sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's talk about our friends down at Will County. I mean, they're making a killing off all their cereal beers. Their Bam Bam stuff.
Yeah.
All the Fruity Pebbles. They're they're making a killing off of it.
I had that last show. Bam Bam's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's light bodied. There's just enough character there to be distinct. Yeah, it's great.
All right, so I can't finish this show without talking about this that I got from my lovely in-laws this Christmas, and I sent it to Jason, and I put it out on social media after I got it because there is just so much going on here. Double barrel aged imperial stout with Blanchard's coffee, cinnamon, turning the bottle again, dulce de leche, cacao nibs, and Ghirardelli dark chocolate.
Sounds awesome.
It does, and I'm trying to decide when the best time to drink it is, but man,
Right now.
there's a lot going on. And
Sounds like you need to shot
there is
that
a
right now.
not right now.
What's the ABV on that, George?
That's why it's not right now, because it is strong.
Yeah, 13.
Oh, don't be a pussy.
This is a beer just based on that description. I would drink out of a sifter.
It's a
Like that's one to be
13.5.
shared. Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna
yes.
drink it out of my
All right.
tulip glass with the super tiny JBG logo
Yep.
that drives my life.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a beer that the four of us could share, like a 16-ounce bottle of, and it would be
Yeah,
perfectly
maybe.
ideal.
Yeah, so.
Oh, for sure.
But that's made by Commonwealth here in Virginia, and they make some good stuff. So I'm excited about it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. So, Brando,
Yeah.
do you have a beer that Workforce has made that you would say would be possibly the craziest combination of adjuncts?
We really again don't the way we blend beers and try to come up with our formulas for what we want. We don't really go to the far extreme side. We again try to make pretty presentable, tasteful beer that's a little bit more in the medium of that a lot of people can drink.
Okay.
Probably German chocolate cake, Sleepy Bear. It's one of the heavier adjuncted beers. It's 100 pounds of coconut, 25 pounds of pecans, vanilla, cacao nibs. And I think that's all that wraps up that one off the top of my head. It's pretty heavy. We've kind of fallen into this stride of we know our percentages of adjuncts that we like to use. So like for a 10-barrel batch, we really like to use 10 pounds of coconut per barrel, 100 pounds for a 10-barrel batch. We know what it does. It's consistent. So I think that I guess that's the word I was looking for is consistency is with the adjuncts that we use. From a standpoint of, heavy dosage, like our barrel-aged farmhouse vultures and wine barrels, we do those in puncheons. That's like 220 pounds of pureed blackberries and raspberries that go into, that beer. That's typically in those barrels, it's around 15 barrels of beer. That's a pretty heavy ratio to us of fermented fruit. Not talking about, again, like a 450 style slushy, post-fermentation blend. This is all fermented fruit. So when you're looking at those beers, it's all a lot of fruit in those barrels. But we love that flavor and that profile.
So
I would say, last thing, I guess the weirdest beer that we've ever done. My brother was in Italy, met a truffle farmer, went out truffle hunting. They shipped us back, it was like $2,000 worth of truffles that we shaved and put into a Brett wine barrel aged Saison. It was shaving these truffles. They smelled like crazy. They were just incredible
gosh.
truffle. And we packaged that beer. There was absolutely zero truffle flavor to the beer.
Oh,
Oh no.
So
that's a shame.
the beer was great. No truffle. So we called it the Almost Truffle Shuffle. It was going really well for us. And we came forward with it. We said, this beer is awesome. We know you all will love it. We spent all this money on truffles. It didn't come through in the beer, but the beer is great. And it sold well, but yeah, it was about $2,000 out the door of truffles.
Oh, that's
Never came
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Yeah.
I do have to ask because there's certain ways that are better to add different adjuncts in here, and Jason, we can attest to the fruit one in a minute here. But for Brando, I guess the question for you is: you add a bunch of pecans in there. How do you guys do that? Because I can't imagine you're just throwing whole pecans in there.
We did. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we got them. We take the bag, we crush them all up with a hammer. Just try to.
Okay, so you do crush them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're roasted, lightly salted pecans. We don't go for where we order. We try to go for a light salt because we don't want that to really impart through. But a little bit of salt on 25 pounds of pecans in a 10-barrel batch, that's not going to impart enough, sodium to really. Sodium is a flavor enhancer, which is why you add it to food, right? So that going into that beer, I wasn't too worried about that with how minute it would be for such a volume that we're going into. But yeah, we crush all those up and throw them in a hop back that we have that we infuse with the beer. So
okay. Yeah. So Jason and I had a bit of an adventure over the course of a couple brew days with Hefeweizen that we did, where we decided we were going to add pomegranate flavor to it. So let me tell you, adding pomegranate flavor using whole pomegranate seeds is a gigantic pain in the ass and do not recommend. So we tried that, twice, I think. And then the third time we broke down and ordered some pomegranate puree. Pomegranate, a lot of purees you can actually find at, say, Workforce Brewing and the homebrew shop there. But pomegranate is one of those flavors that you have some trouble finding sometimes. So Jason, you ended up ordering it, and I think if I remember correctly, the shipping of this thing was as much as the actual puree.
More.
It
was more because it had to ship in dry ice. So for a 5-gallon batch, I think I was into just the puree for about $100.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get this puree, we dump it in the secondary, and it came through. But even so, it's such a subtle flavor, which you wouldn't think if eating pomegranate seeds that it would be such a subtle flavor in beer. We ended up combining some Palm Wonderful into the keg.
Oh, crap, I forgot
Remember we
about
did that?
That's right. Yeah.
We put some pomegranate juice, straight pomegranate juice, into the keg in order to spin up that flavor a little bit. But we ended up winning the competition, I think, that time at the KG, if I remember correctly. So
that's awesome.
So puree, if you can go that direction when adding fruit flavor, tends to work out pretty well.
We do use a lot of puree. We use a lot of Oregon fruit products. Just the quality of what they produce is great. In fact, we're about to empty our next barrels of Farmhouse Vultures, so I just reordered, 4 55-gallon drums of blackberries and raspberries, and it's expensive, but it's worth it. We also use juice concentrate, which is. There's a company out of Chicago called Greenwood Associates. They don't make sizes for home brew, intentionally, but they basically take all natural fruit. There's no additives to it, and they spin the water, basically centrifuge the water out of it, so that what you have. So like a typical puree, say your blackberry is going to be run between 10 to probably average between 10 to 14 bricks of sugar. The juice concentrate is runs around 65 bricks. So It's
Can
actually
you translate those into gravities for those that don't know the brick scale?
yeah, basically multiply rough numbers, multiply by 4, right? So like
Okay.
1040
Okay.
would be your typical blackberry puree. What's 60 math? Escapes me. 65 times 4, 60 times 4.
260.
Yeah. So you'd be like 1.260 or something like that. Does that make sense?
That's
Oh, wow.
that's a lot.
It is. It's a thick. It's like a slurry.
Okay.
But it's awesome. We love it. It works really well. Ferments out. You get a good yield. And the lowest quantity they sell is in 5-gallon pails. It's an expensive product, but again, you have to weigh the loss of when you use puree. You got a lot of that pulp and seed and this and that goes with it. So
Yeah, true.
but for like Farmhouse Vultures, we use puree for that. But then certain other beers, like some of our sours, we'll do that juice concentrate for that. Just depends on the situation and what we're trying to yield out of it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, adjuncts, they are versatile. And, but at the end of the day, some people can get a bit excessive with them. So one of the things we talked about before is make sure that, Paulie mentioned that make sure you build a solid beer to add adjuncts to.
100%.
And don't try to cover up a bad beer with adjuncts. But also, I also mentioned that sometimes a beer doesn't need it. The people are sometimes quick to say, "Oh, well, I need to add spice to this or things," and no, sometimes just try the beer, and if it is, if the next time you go around you think it would be enhanced by an adjunct, then go that direction.
I can agree with that for sure. That principle.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah.
So before we round up, how are things at Workforce?
You know what? Good. We have been a really lucky spot. We created the ski chalet patio, which people have really embraced. It's cool to see a full patio when it's 25 degrees out and people are all standing outside drinking beer. It means a lot. It means the world to us.
Oh my gosh, that's
to
so
say,
great.
It's cool. To say it hasn't been a rough go though, like you'd be lying. Like it's been brutal. 2020 sucked, as it has for everybody.
Yeah.
So we've been lucky enough to pull through. We're really, really happy we just brewed a collab with Metal Monkey, Skeleton Key, Black Horizon, Will County. We all got together and brewed a West Coast style IPA that is actually releasing tomorrow at all the respective breweries. So we're pretty excited. But it's called Fugadal. Pretty much is our ode to
2020.
Yeah.
Very fitting.
So it was cool. We all mapped up and just kind of hung out for a day and had some beers. And we spent time on the patio. Jamie from Will County, he bought a bunch of food. We had grilled out on the old Weber at the brewery, and just like felt like a little bit of normalcy, even though we were, being as safe as we can and just doing everything that we could to be together, which was pretty cool. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I was thinking about it earlier today, and 2020 sucked and was just terrible. And apparently 2021 is just going to be weird. Like we started it off with a coup. This week, Reddit decided to screw up the stock market. Like, what's next?
I've been following that thing all day. It's wild.
That's a crazy story.
So crazy. So crazy.
Yeah.
Remind me, I want to pick your brain about that, Jason, because I imagine you have thoughts.
I absolutely do. Yes.
It's crazy. I bought 2 shares of GameStop today just to play along. I'm up like $250 right now. I told Amanda there, I was like, I got to sell in the morning, but I don't even know what it was just more.
My suggestion for your Brando, watch that one closely because you may want to do that. You may want to do that.
It was just for fun and just to say, why not? Play along.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I got a blurb on my phone today that said Robinhood
they've taken the availability to buy and sell GameStop off of their entire platform.
Yeah,
And then they
because of
caught a
all the
bunch of
stuff.
flack. Then they caught a bunch of flack for it, and they put it back in.
Okay, so this
Webull-
all happened within one business day. So they took
Correct.
it off and
There
took a
are
bunch
two
of crap
class
all in
action
one day.
lawsuits filed in New York and Chicago today against Robinhood already.
That is insane.
Yeah,
That's-
wow.
Yeah.
In one day.
One day.
Yep. Yep.
It's
And
wild.
Webull did the same
Oh.
thing and got the same pushback, and yeah. So
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This year's gonna be
All
weird.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. George, I think you got the right idea. It's going to be a weird year, but
Yeah.
we can make progress from 2020, and I think we all can be satisfied with that. And
Yeah.
on that note, our good friends at Metal Monkey have their 5-year anniversary this week, Friday through Sunday in Romeoville, Illinois. Check them out. Attendance is capped at 50 people. Let's understand that we're still coming out of COVID. We still have guidelines that are still out there that we all need to be aware of. And but honestly, this is going to be a great event. Hope to see you out there. And after you're done at Metal Monkey, head on over to Plainfield to Workforce Brewing. Visit Brando and their beautiful brewery there in Plainfield, right off of Route 59.
I appreciate it.
You got
Well,
it.
actually,
What's
I'll be there. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be at Metal
you,
Monkey.
you will? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you have on tap right now that people can look forward to at Workforce?
Oh man, a lot of things. We've got about 24 different beers on tap right now.
Wow.
We just tapped.
24. Jeez.
We just tapped this last week. Buffering, which is one of our new hazies, and then we did a 10% Imperial hazy called Ski Jeans. So if you ever rode like Wilmot or Cascade or any of those mountains, and you saw the guy who was shredded up in his jeans and a starter jacket, this beer is dedicated to them.
And a starter jacket.
Oh yeah, like a Chicago Bulls or Charlotte Hornets starter jacket, like that. This
with
beer
the pouch in the front.
Oh, you had to have the stash pouch in front. That's it. So
I'll tell you,
I love that.
one of the mistakes that we made, Brando, Jason and I, we went down to your shop to get some homebrew ingredients, and then we went over to the little bar that you have in there. It's been a while.
yeah,
And said, "Can we get a flight of beers?" Well, your bartender took that as, "I want a 4-ounce of everything that you have,"
Yeah.
which turned out to be like 16 beers.
Yeah.
And Jason and I were both
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god!"
Yep. We finished
So
all of that beer too.
we did, yeah.
We were committed.
yeah, we got a lot. We had a lot of taps over there. We're really hoping to open the shop back up in March. So we've been doing curbside, online ordering, curbside through COVID, trying to be as safe as possible. And we feel that now, once hopefully we're watching the vaccine rollout, but hopefully once we get some more people vaccinated and numbers keep dropping down, hopefully by March we can get the shop back open, a little bit back to normal. So
Nice.
That sounds
Good.
fantastic.
yeah,
Look forward to coming to the shop. I look forward to coming and hanging out with you. We need to do a collab sometime, Brando. I need to get you on the list of collabs this year or something.
I know we got to get down there. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I kind of missed. I kind of missed the train, the one you did with all the Plainfield and Shorewood people.
Yeah,
I think I just started, so it's like I'm in no condition to start doing that now.
yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was something we were kind of like tossing back and forth with those guys. And then I finally just kind of said, F it. We just need to get together and we got to get this done. We have to brew it. So Black Horizon, those guys, I love them. Kevin and Alex and Charles, they're all great. I think it's been 2 years on the deck of trying to get this thing off the ground of brew together. It's hard how fast time slips away.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
We got a few other collabs that were lined up for last spring, and they just keep getting it's like a can keeps getting kicked down the road. It looks like in March we'll get a few of those off the ground, but it's hard to lock down a brewer. We're all over the place.
Yeah, I know. We're all in our own little worlds here in our own little brewery, so trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
It's
I mean,
wild.
I'm doing my first one at the end of February with Brian from Blue Island. I'm really excited about that
Right.
one. We're doing an India Pale Lager, so I'm
Sweet.
actually really excited about that because years ago he did one when he was working at Flossmore, And then I was so inspired by that. The next morning, by 10 o'clock in the morning, I was dressed with recipe in hand on my way to the brew store to get the ingredients.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Great brewer.
He is.
I have a lot of respect for Brian. He's an OG guy in Chicago. He knows his shit. That's for sure.
Yep, he's been around forever. I mean, actually, probably if it wasn't for Brian, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, to be 100% honest with you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
he's
why
a two-time guest here on the webcast too, and a really, really good guy too.
Yeah. I look forward to the collaboration with him. It'll be fun to brew somewhere else, not here every other week.
Right.
All right.
Well, sorry again. I literally looked at the email. I was on time. I had all my alarms set on my phone. I got this. Then I look at my email. It says 7 ET Eastern. I was like, you got to be friggin' kidding me.
Oh,
You're all right. No worries.
I did
It's all
respond.
good, man.
I did respond earlier this morning to your text,
Ugh.
but
It's been a. I blame COVID. I blame everything.
yeah, it's like COVID. It's COVID's fault. It's all good.
It's
fair.
all
That's
all
fair.
good. I'll tell you, you know,
Yeah.
we got a lot of really good content out there, and I think the home brewers that participated and listened tonight, I think really got a great take that they can bring back to their batches and their recipes that they're making. So
Cool.
let's treat this as mission accomplished. Brando from Workforce Brewing out of Plainfield, Illinois. When you're done at Metal Monkey this weekend, go on down to Plainfield, visit Brando, and check out one of their 24 beers on tap right now. That is
I appreciate it. If anybody has questions on adjuncts, since I was late to the party, you can always email me at brews@chicagobrewworks.com, and happy to answer whatever I can. So
That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
thank
no
you for
problem.
joining us. This was awesome.
yeah, I'm
All right.
the tardy one that had the
No
time
worries.
wrong. I'm literally 6:50. I was like, I'm early. I'm 10 minutes early. Yes.
You're all good, man. You're all
Yeah.
good, man.
Oh,
Brando.
Oh, God.
All right. That wraps up
Hey,
our
one more thing,
our
guys.
Oh,
yes.
sorry. Polly, what's up?
We gotta finish the recipe since we got Brando on here.
Oh,
Oh.
boy. Okay.
Do we want an
all right.
adjunct?
That's
the question.
That's I'm not quite settled on that, but Brando, we've been building an amber ale recipe for the
Okay.
last 4 episodes.
One of my favorite styles.
That is a very good style to have as a go-to.
Yeah.
I love it. So what's the recipe?
Hold on, I'm working on
Polly's
it.
pulling it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying here. Hold on. What's going on here? Share audio. Yeah, do that too. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Hold on. I'm working on it. Uh-oh. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourself.
I'm still working
pressure.
on the Jeopardy
Yeah, no-
theme
no
for you.
pressure.
So, yeah.
No pressure.
yeah.
Oh, there we go. Got it.
There we go. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Now all we see is ourselves. Move a window into there.
There
we
you
go.
All right.
Yep.
All right. My recipes. ANTB. Here we go. Click it. Click, 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 click. Here we go. So we've got. Can you see? If you can all see this, we got some.
Okay, now it's coming up.
6 crystal caramel chocolate, C60 chocolate. That's our base grain. We got some Centennial, Cascade and Cashmere. We got the Omega 006 yeast. Suggestions there, Brando. What should we do for adjunct for this thing?
You want to adjunct it
Or something?
Well, that's the question.
We're not settled.
We're not sold.
on just having an adjunct, but I guess that's the question. If we were, what would be a nice complement to just a nice classic amber ale recipe?
So it's hard for me to add an adjunct to a classic amber ale recipe due to the fact that I respect that style so much and its classic, nature.
That's kind of where I'm at too.
Me too.
So one thing that I would do, looking at the recipe looks great. I would instead of using like a 2-row or a pale malt, I would go with like a Golden Promise, or even go to a Maris Otter as your base, so you get
That's a good
little
call.
bit more malt character.
Yeah.
I think your other specialty malts look great. If you were gonna do an adjunct, I might actually give it a little twist with like a dark Belgian candy sugar. So like D180 or D90, maybe D180 might be a little too raisiny, but like a D90 liquid candy sugar would give it just that little bit of taste, just a little bit of
Well, that's all going to ferment out, though.
Well,
wouldn't it?
yeah,
Not all,
but it'll add a little bit of that sweet character to it. So
Yep. If you were to use like a 0 or a 5 Love Bond candy sugar, that will definitely ferment out. But if you start getting into the 55, the 90, the 180, especially the 180, but like the 90, I think would actually be a kind of a cool. You'll get that fermentability up. You still have the Maillard reactions that happen with that when they caramelize that sugar. That'll come through just a touch, though. I wouldn't go over the top on it.
I'm in.
Well, hang on. As a possible alternative to that, because what you're trying to achieve there, Brando, is a little just a touch of that kind of molassesy sweetness, right?
Yep.
What if instead of going the candy sugar route, we went like the brown sugar route?
Brown sugar is great. You got that molasses that comes in through it. Because all brown sugar is today is white sugar basically sprayed with molasses. So you could do one of two things. You could definitely do some brown sugar in it. You're going to get that white sugar component of it. It's going to be fermentable. If you don't want to have it thin out, you could just add a touch of molasses.
Or we could do that. A touch of molasses.
That'll give you that brown sugar flavor, but yet you're not going to lose your body.
I can get down on this molasses. So what should you do? Like a half pound, quarter pound? I mean, keep in mind we're only doing a 5-gallon recipe right now.
You do 5? I would do like a quarter pound. Molasses is heavy. I would just do like a quarter pound.
So what do you think, Jason?
8 ounces? No,
Yeah.
I support that. I used molasses most recently in a root beer that I made here at the house.
So we got a quarter pound.
The standard size jar you have at the grocery store is 12 ounces. So you're well within one jar just by doing that.
Right.
Okay.
We all agree we're doing a quarter pound, 4 ounces of molasses.
4 ounces of molasses. No, 8 ounces.
8 ounces, yeah.
Yep. You're going to get a touch of that color out of it. Then you're going to get just a little bit of that residual sweetness and kind of that molasses flavor to come through without the fermentation of the regular sucrose.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm going that route, Brando, is because we're already pretty high for style on the fermentability and everything. So
For sure.
we're worried about pushing that farther.
All right, so here we go.
We could. Yeah. I mean, we could kick down the base malt just a little bit if we had to.
It's hard, yeah.
If we had to mellow this out a little bit.
All right, hold on. We're going to change this base malt because the 9 pounds there. I agree with Brando. I'm a big fan of Golden Promise.
I love Golden Promise.
Yeah, so you know what I'm going to do here? We're gonna delete that one. Screw you, Great Can Breathe, and your pale malt. We're going to go with some Golden Promise from Simpsons.
Make it 8.
All right.
Yeah, dial it down a little bit.
Yeah.
8 pounds?
8 pounds.
Wow, look at that. We went from the yellow on the high end down to way low.
What?
I kind of like that, yeah. Because we were like right here.
Well, kind of middle of the road now.
Wait. Something. How did we go down that far just by taking off 1 pound?
The fermentability of the Golden Promise might be less than the pale that we had in before.
Does Beersmith take into account molasses as any fermentability at all?
I had to pull it under add fermentable.
Not to my knowledge, Brando.
Right.
Yeah. Which it's really not terribly fermentable, is it?
No, it shouldn't be. But I was just curious. I mean, there's something, probably get a little something out of it, but not, What did it bump your final up? It's so hard to read the screen. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Final.
Our OG is 10. I forgot what it was, but we're at 1050 now. Our estimated. Can't. Where's it?
What final after fermentation?
1011.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll be higher than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll probably be a little higher than that. Polly, I'd be okay with. What do you think, Jason? And Polly going back up to 9 pounds.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. I'm okay
I
with
agree.
that.
That still baffles me that it went down that far.
Yeah.
I'm down. Okay, there we go. Now it did drop it a little bit when we moved from the Gambree's Pale Malt to the Simpsons Golden Promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before, I think it's just a grain change because before we were in the yellow of the high end, so that put us in like the almost 60 range, 1060
Yeah.
ish. I
And
think
to
we were right
Brando's-
around there.
To Brando's point, I think our final is going to be a little higher than that. So I think that we're going to end up with a close to 5.5% rather than a 5.7, like it's saying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that for
All
sure.
right, so that's it. We got this recipe is made.
It's made.
Is there a
Well,
way?
now
Is
we
there
need
a
to
way
make
we
it.
can? Is there a way we can post this, guys?
Yes, send that recipe, save it, and send it to me, Polly, and I'll
do it
get it
tomorrow.
out on
Yeah,
the
I'll send it to you
website.
tomorrow. Yeah, I'll
that's
send it to you
that's
tomorrow.
fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Well, sweet.
That was-
Thanks
that
for
was
letting me
really-
be a part of that.
Dude, that
Yeah,
was
man.
really that was really good advice. Thank you, Brando.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. We really do.
I want to try it after you guys brew it.
All right.
We're gonna
We're
brew
already
it.
talking about having. Yeah, George will travel from Virginia back here to Illinois, and we will brew this all together.
That's
Yep.
perfect.
Just as soon as I can.
Hopefully on the Route 66 system. Just put that out there.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, to scale a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
Don't worry about that. Tomorrow's getting scaled.
Yeah.
I'm getting scaled. Tomorrow it's getting scaled. I got a bar full of friends here. Got a bunch of friends. Like Kevin Promise is on his way down here. I got a bunch of friends on the way down here. So
Oh, right on.
yeah,
Cool.
we one of the local Joliet musicians is playing a bar here in Joliet. So when he starts, we're all leaving here and going there.
Okay.
Right on.
So
Right on.
I'm gonna go
Well,
from
let's-
my brewery to a dive bar.
All right. Jason, you want to wrap us up?
Yes, I will. Okay, we do the webcast every Thursday here on the Facebook and YouTube channels. Check us out. We start at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. There you go. Yes. All our past episodes are all available on our YouTube channel under videos. We have done weekly episodes since the beginning of COVID-19. There is quite a bit of videos out there. So if you cannot wait until next Thursday to check us out, go to our YouTube page, check out our past episodes. Also, if you get all through the videos and you still need more, we have an audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, that's available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and all the places you get your your podcast from. Our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com, and our social media links are at A Nice Place to Brew and Nice Place to Brew on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we will see you at Metal Monkey this weekend and Workforce right afterwards. Brando from Workforce Brewing, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank
end
you.
every episode, we raise a glass and we say, it takes a lot of good beer to make great beer. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Sorry again about my tardiness. It's horrible.